Caught y'all slacking like dress pants. Michigan trash, they ain't got a damn chance. Only Wolverine I respect is X-Man. Keen ass coach got exposed, still in plays. Damn right I'm bitter, y'all sweeter than lemonade. Texas ain't shit to rave about. The Longhorns only good at a steakhouse. Had y'all like number 3, I was like, no way. Y'all lost to Oklahoma, which means y'all just okay. And Washington not important. Y'all be some ducks, acting like that's vital as an organ. If we played y'all, we kick that ass Chuck Norris. Y'all stay boring. Only thing in that bitch is a forest. Let's set the record straight. Fuck your team if it ain't Florida State.
Real Spill with Dupree.
Yo, welcome to another episode, Real Spill with Dupree, college football edition. Took off the last couple weeks. Schedule been busy, but we back, and college football is in week 8. A lot has happened over the last 4 weeks. Our last show was week 4. But we're going to jump right into it. A lot of stuff going on, games being played, a lot of transparency across college football, a lot of coaches getting fired. So we're going to dive into all that. I'm going to start off first with week 8 games, just breaking down the games for the week. Starting out with my boy Willie Simmons and Florida International played on a Tuesday night, and they beat the best team in their conference, Western Kentucky. They pretty handed them too. Florida International won 25-6. Willie Simmons starting quarterback Jenkins went down, backup came in, finished the game. Florida International beat Western Kentucky 25-6. That takes FIU record to 3-3, with 2 of their losses coming to Penn State. Penn State, Delaware, and UConn is the 3 losses. He pretty much has handled teams that is on his level by beating Bethune-Cookman, Florida Atlantic, and now Western Kentucky. So congrats to Willie Simmons and FIU for getting a big win on national TV. It was on ESPN on Tuesday night. All right, moving right along. On Friday night, you had number 2 team in the country, Miami Hurricanes, taking on Louisville, and Louisville has been known to pull an upset in college football. They've been doing it for years, and they pulled another one Friday by beating the Hurricanes 24-21. So it was a great back-and-forth game. Louisville came in as a heavy underdog. Nobody expected them to win, but they ended up putting that thing out. It was a back-and-forth game. Well, actually, Louisville jumped up on top of Miami 14-0, I believe it was. And then Miami fought back in it. Louisville had like 2 or 3 early turnovers, but they got no points off of it. So Miami defense, stayed in the game as much as they could. And in the end, Louisville made enough plays to win the game. Miami made some plays to get back in the game. Actually had their opportunity to win too. Unfortunately, Carson Beck made sure that he did his part to help his team not win, and showed some of that old Carson Beck that we knew from Georgia, with the inconsistencies with his decision making, and then the turnovers. Obviously were crucial in crucial moments when his team needed him the most. He didn't step up to the plate, and it ultimately caused Miami to lose the game. But Miami defense still been playing at a high level. They gave us some big plays that you normally don't see their defense give up. But ultimately, Louisville was able to pull that thing out. That was not only Miami's first loss on the season, first loss in the ACC. And the ACC is a real, what word I'm looking for? It's a real crazy puzzle for who's going to play in the ACC championship game. Because now you got Miami, Pitt, Duke, Louisville, Cal, all with 1 loss. And you got Georgia Tech, Virginia, SMU, and they ain't got no losses in the conference. So it's going to be crazy down the stretch to see who actually played for the ACC championship game. And it's possible that Miami don't even play in the ACC championship game as great as the season that they started off with and started off having. That loss could put them in a position where they don't play for the ACC championship game because they don't control their own destiny down the stretch. A lot of the teams that's undefeated right now in the ACC don't play Miami, and they don't play each other. So that could leave Miami out in the dry. Carson Beck was 25 out of 35. He threw 4 interceptions. 271 yards. Mark Fletcher only had 8 carries and 18 yards and a touchdown. Tooney, who has been the biggest highlight of Miami's season so far at receiver, 9 catches, 135 yards. And Scott, the DB, led Miami with tackles. He had 8 solo, 9 total. On Louisville's side of the Miller Moss, the transfer quarterback from USC, 23 out of 37, 2 touchdowns, 248 yards. Isaac Brown, their bell cow at running back, 15 carries, 113 yards. And then Mr. Bell, the receiver who made all the big plays when they needed him, 9 catches, 2 touchdowns, 136 yards. And Quinn led them with 6 tackles, 4 solo. So Louisville improves to 5-1. Overall, 2-1 in the ACC. Drops Miami to 5-1 and 2-1. Is it Miami 2-1? Let me go back. Miami 1-1. I'm sorry. Miami 1-1 in the ACC. Louisville 2-1. That was big win, big upset for Louisville on the road in Miami in Hard Rock Stadium, and they knock out the number 2 team in the country. I'm gonna say this, and I kind of said it before that game, is I didn't believe that Miami was a national championship contender before that win. For that loss. I felt like the whole time that they had some holes and they had some areas in a team where they hadn't really got attacked or exposed yet. One, I don't believe in Mario Cristobal. I don't think he's a championship caliber coach, and I think the way he coached will always give a team opportunity to beat them because he doesn't try to beat teams and pull away. He kind of like he's very laid back and methodical with his approach, and he's fine with playing defense and running the ball and not trying to run the score up. And usually when you don't try to put teams away, you don't try to attack teams, you let teams that shouldn't hang around with you hang around with you. And that was a result Friday night. Also, not a true believer all the way in Carson Beck. As the Gator fan, I know Carson Beck all too well from his Georgia days, his inconsistencies there. And I just didn't think they were. I just didn't think they were a championship caliber team. Receiving wise, you got Tooney. Tooney is their only receiver threat. Nobody else is really stepping up to take the load off of him. So you got one receiver, one legit receiver that another team's got to worry about. So basically, if the run game is not working, then they're in trouble. So I think Miami got to find a better way and find another way of attacking other teams, and somebody else has got to step up because you can't just run the ball, wide receiver screen at Tooney and think you're going to beat good teams. And it kind of bit them in the butt on Friday night where they still should have won the game, had the opportunity to win the game. They driving down to win the game and Carson Beck through that pick. So a bad pick. And then he got in a press conference and blamed his receiver, says the receiver ran the wrong route. But even if the receiver runs the right route, the place he put the ball in was going to be intercepted anyway. So I don't see the point of him throwing out the fact that his receiver ran the wrong route. But nonetheless, Miami takes the L and puts himself in a tough position. And now it's a wait and see with them for the ACC championship game down the stretch. Moving right along, Minnesota beat Nebraska 24-6. And Nebraska continues to underachieve every year. They got Dylan Raiola last year, the 5-star quarterback, flipped from Georgia, and he has not lived up to the hype. He's had some really good games here and there, but not really taking Nebraska to the stage of consistency that they respected. Along with that, their head coach has been linked to the Penn State job. I don't know if that got something to do with it, but nonetheless, Nebraska has been underachieving. And it showed on Friday night when they lost to Minnesota. Moving right along to North Carolina, California, also Friday night. North Carolina actually played their best game of the year, only losing 21-18. And if you watch the game, I maybe seen the highlight, Cal won that game by the skin of their teeth. North Carolina actually had a chance to win, actually was in the end zone to win, and the receiver, I think it was the receiver out tight end, fumbled the ball in the end zone. as he was going in to score late in that game. So that's how they lost. Saturday, you had Ohio State, the number one team in the country. They shut out Wisconsin 34-0. No surprise there. Ohio State's playing on the level that nobody else is playing on. And although there's been a lot of parity across college football this year, where it hasn't been really a lot of dominant teams, I think Ohio State is the one most consistent team across the board when they playing great football on offense, defense, special team. They're disciplined. They're not making mistakes. I think they're the best team in the country. I think they're going to repeat. I really don't see nobody else that can challenge them in that aspect of winning the championship. Now, somebody may get them a good game, but I don't see nobody else beating them unless they have some kind of self-destruction, some kind of serious injuries to the end of their star player. But, yeah, so they pulled that out. Julian saying 393 in the air, and then Carnell Tate had that amazing touchdown pass in the end zone over two defenders when they took his helmet off. Indiana, number 3 team in the country, beat Michigan State 38-13. Their quarterback Mendoza had another great day coming off their big win last week of beating Oregon, and their coach getting a huge extension, $93 million for 8 years. They take care of business. Mendoza 332 yards in the air. Yeah, Indiana is, as people saying, Indiana is their year to be a real contender on the last year. We thought there was a contender, and then they got in the playoffs and got blew out. But I don't know. I'm not a believer in Indiana yet either. They are playing good football. I want to take that away from them, but I don't believe them. Believe in them as a championship contender yet. I want to see them, and they got an easy schedule down the road. So I don't know if we're going to see them play. Penn State would have been that team we thought would be that contest for them, but with them firing their coach, I don't see how that would be a game to watch. I think it won't be into the Big Ten championship game versus Ohio State, where we actually see what kind of team Indiana is. But nonetheless, they're undefeated, number 3 team in the country, probably going to be the number 2 team in the country after this past weekend. Moving right along, you got Texas A&M, number 4 team in the country. They beat Arkansas in a shootout, 45-42. Marcel Reed, 280 yards passing, and then a running back, Mike Washington Jr., had 147 on the ground. My bad. That's Arkansas. Arkansas running back, Mike Washington Jr., had 147 on the ground. A lot of points, a lot of yards in that game. Not surprised that it was a shootout. Texas A&M pulled it out. Texas A&M is playing some really good football. Only in year 2 with Mike Elko, and he's flipped that thing around after he left Duke for them. He's also a name to keep an eye on as other teams may come calling. I've seen some reports where they say he's a great fit for Penn State. But yeah, nonetheless, Texas A&M take care of business. They remain undefeated, taking care of Arkansas 45-42. Moving right along, you got number 5 Ole Miss at number 9 Georgia. This was another great game, a shootout. Georgia ends up winning it at the end, 43-35. It was back and forth. Neither team was playing defense. And the one time Georgia finally did stop Ole Miss offense, Georgia got the ball, went right down there and scored. And that was the difference in the game for the most part. But it was a back and forth, great game all game. Both teams really came to play. Typical SEC football battle. And Georgia ended up pulling it off between the hedges. You had Gunnar Stockton, 26 out of 31 for 4 touchdowns, 289 yards in the air. Nate Frazier, 17 carries, 72 yards. Zachariah Branch, 8 catches, 71 yards in receiving. Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss played pretty good basketball. Pretty good football. The Division II transfer, first big SEC game, and he did his thing. 19 out of 36, 263 yards and 1 touchdown. He also ran the ball 9 times, 42 yards, and had 2 touchdowns on the ground. You got Stribling, Ole Miss receiver, had 3 catches, 96 yards, and a TD. And then Perkins on defense had 10 total tackles, 5 solo for Ole Miss. And then on the Georgia side, Allen led them with tackles, 10 total, 8 solo. So, yeah, back and forth game all game. Right, bro. We need lane. Back and forth game all game. I know that's a crushing loss for Ole Miss. Every year they get close. They play really good football and they don't win the big game. I just don't think Ole Miss is ever going to have the talent to beat the big dog. Although they should have won yesterday, but I think when it come down to games like that, you got to have the playmakers on both sides of the ball. Obviously, they had the playmakers on offense, and the defense let them down. The defense could not stop Georgia for nothing, and it ultimately came down to that. I don't think at Ole Miss he's ever going to get the players that he needs to win a championship. Now he'll get the players he needs to be able to win, 10, 11 games a year, be in contention, but I don't ever think he's going to get over the hump and win a championship at Ole Miss, which is why I believe him coming to Florida is best for him and his career, although also is best for Florida too. But people say, why would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Florida? That's because he's not going to win a championship there. Now, if Lane Kiffin is happy there, he has a complete backing of an AD. He does what he wants. Nobody's telling him how to run his program. So if he's comfortable with just running his show and not having to worry about people telling him what to do, what not to do, and how to do it, and don't care about winning a championship, he can stay at Ole Miss. But if winning a championship is his ultimate end goal, then he has to come to Florida to do so. Well, not just Florida. He's going to have to get out of Ole Miss. Because I don't want to just say Florida's the only way he can win a championship there, because he can go to Auburn. That job is pretty much about to open. I don't know if he's a fit for Penn State. I don't see how he fits in for Penn State, but somewhere like UCLA, I don't think he could win a championship at. But Florida State's probably finna come open. LSU possibly finna come open. So any of those schools he can go to and win championships. So I don't want to just make it seem like he's got to go to Florida to win one, but he's definitely not winning one at Ole Miss, for the simple fact that you're not going to be able to get enough of the top tier talent to come to Ole Miss to be able to win. And to me, last year was his best team talent wise, and they didn't win it. And then, didn't even get in the playoff. And then this year, they're playing better as a unit. But they don't still have enough. I don't think they have enough elite athletes, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to win a championship, let alone the SEC championship. So Ole Miss takes the fall to Georgia. Georgia, like I said, Georgia hasn't been like that elite Georgia that we normally used to seeing, but they're winning games. They're finding ways to win games. They're winning games, and they continue to win in Georgia fashion. And you better bring your lunch pail when you play them, because it ain't going to be nothing easy. Yeah, that's why I said I don't see him going to Penn. He ain't going to be going to Penn State. Yeah, I don't think Penn State a realistic option. He don't fit it. He don't fit it. His swag and none of that don't fit it. He go up north. Bad idea. Moving right along, Tennessee, number 11, Tennessee at number 6, Alabama. And Alabama pretty much dominated this game from start to finish. Tennessee did have a chance to kind of get in the game and threw a pick six, 90-something yard return, pick six. And that was pretty much the last opportunity they had to get in this game and win it. Alabama has been playing some really good football since taking that first game of the year stumble to Florida State. They righted the ship and have been playing amazing. Ty Simpson is playing amazing. Ryan Williams is finally coming around. Getting Jam Miller back. He missed the first couple of games of the year, and running back has been a big difference. The defense is playing like the Alabama defense are old. Just everything about Alabama altogether has been coming together. Excuse me. And they've been playing some really good football lately and are looking like real contenders once again. Coming off of that Florida State loss, we all thought it was the end for Alabama, and we thought it was the end for the coach. And since then, they have did nothing but win. And win in comfortable fashion. So good job at Alabama. Like I said, they took down Georgia, and now they've beaten Tennessee, which I didn't feel like Tennessee had a chance to beat them anyway. But since they lost to FSU, their most notable win, they beat Georgia. The Vanderbilt game was a revenge game. They dominated them. They won a close one against Missouri, and then they just beat Tennessee. And they only got South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn left in conference play. And I don't see any of those teams beating them. Maybe Oklahoma has a chance, but I don't know. I don't see any of those teams beating them. LSU probably won't even have a coach by the time that game comes around. So, yeah, Alabama's looking like a real good contender, not only for the SEC, but for the national championship as well, as they take care of Tennessee at home. Stats for Alabama and Tennessee. Ty Simpson went 19 out of 29, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bernard was the leading rusher. That's weird. 4 carries for 49 yards. Ryan Williams, 5 catches, 87 yards. Tennessee side, Aguilar went 28 out of 44, 1 pick, 1 TD, and 268 yards. Bishop, the running back, 14 carries, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Staley at receiver, 10 catches, 93 yards, and a TD. Leading tackler for Bama was, I think that's Jonathan Smith. He had James Smith, I'm sorry. James Smith has 7 total tackles, 2 solo. For DB for Tennessee, he had 7 total tackles, 3 solo. So, yeah, Bama's Bama again. Gonna be interesting to see how the SEC shape out going down the stretch. Moving right along, Texas Tech, number 7 team in the country, went into Arizona State. Arizona State has been struggling, but Arizona State was able to pull up the upset 26-20. Sam Levitt went for 319. Jordan Tyson, the receiver, went for 105. And Relique Brown went for... Relique Brown had 19 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Texas Tech quarterback Hammond went 22 out of 37, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He only threw for 167 yards. And Texas Tech had been putting up some points and some yards on everybody pretty much for the year. And they were making a lot of noise and a lot of headway in college football rankings. And then they went out and laid an egg against Arizona State. That might take them out of playoff consideration. But, yeah. Shout out to Arizona State. Shout out Kenny Dillingham. Heck of a coach. It looked like his team was down and out, and they found a way to resurface and start playing some top-notch football again. I'm pretty sure his name also will be in some of these coaching this coaching carousel to get him a new job. You got I also won't be surprised if Florida State fired Mike Norvell that they don't call Kenny Dillingham back. He was the OC when Mike Norvell first got there. Anywho, moving right along, number 8 Oregon blows out Rutgers 56-10. Another upset for Saturday was LSU, number 10 LSU at number 17 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt won 31-24. And LSU under Brian Kelly continues to underachieve every time people put expectations on them, or not say put expectations on. Every time they're expected to turn the corner, they do not. I don't even know what to say about LSU because they came in with one of the most experienced quarterbacks, a bunch of receivers, and they have a new defensive coordinator supposed to revamp that defense, and they have not done anything of significance, in my opinion, in any of the big games that they played. The offense has been struggling all year. And then Nussmeier, who came in as a top quarterback for the draft, and LSU was favorites to not only win the SEC, but be a national title contender, and they have not looked like they're going to do either of those things. And Vanderbilt proved that Saturday by knocking them down. LSU still played good in the game. It wasn't like they just laid down and they laid the egg, but they've been inconsistently not performing to the level of football that people expected. And I'm pretty sure they're not playing up to the level that they expected. But Brian Kelly, to me, we need to start having the same conversation about him that we're having about James Franklin, of him being inconsistent coach who can't win games and win big games and put his team in position to win championships, which is why Notre Dame wasn't crying over him when he left. He was supposed to come to LSU and take them to new heights. He has not done that, and I wouldn't be surprised if LSU pulls the plug on him before the year is out. And if they do let him finish a year, I won't be surprised if they do it in the offseason, because he's been very, very inconsistent. And I didn't think they were national championship contenders when they came in the first place. I wasn't buying it, but everybody on TV was, and everybody was hyping them up. I'm saying I'm not really surprised. I didn't think Nussmeier was that good last year, and I didn't understand the hype behind him. I thought he was a good quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, good productive quarterback, but the Heisman talk and the national championship talk, I don't think he's that. We got a question. LSU and Texas is the biggest. I have to put him up there. I think Penn State, Texas for sure. LSU. I think if you go by hype, LSU would be up there, but Penn State is the biggest bust. Texas too. Texas is the biggest bust of the year. I wouldn't consider FSU a bust because nobody thought FSU was going to be good anyway. Everybody got on the FSU bandwagon after the Bama game, and then after they beat up on a bunch of small level teams. But so I won't really call them a bust. Actually, people expected FSU to be sorry, and then when they surprised Bama, everybody's like, "Oh shoot!" Well, maybe maybe they ain't the same FSU that went 2-10 last year. So I wouldn't call them a bust, but definitely Penn State, definitely Texas. I'd say the biggest bust. I think the biggest bust would be Penn State because they, just like LSU, they were returning the starting quarterback, productive quarterback. They were returning a lot of starters. They had national championship aspirations, and they have fell flat on their face. And not only did they fall flat on their face, they losing the team that they shouldn't. So, yeah. To your question, Jordan, I say Penn State, Texas, definitely biggest flops. LSU too, top 3 on that. Moving right along, Georgia Tech and Duke. Georgia Tech, number 12 team in the country, continues their roll through college football. Well, I don't say college football, roll through the ACC. They continue to be undefeated. They beat Duke 27-18. I got to admit, I was somebody that didn't really believe that Georgia Tech was going to be legit. I thought they would. I just wasn't a believer in the running the quarterback all the time offense that they got. With no real receiver threats or anything like that. Running game, like they had a better running game last year. So I didn't think that the quarterback was going to be able to continue to run and they're going to continue to win. I was wrong. They are continuing to win. The quarterback can continue to run. They improved to 7-0, and they control their own destiny for the ACC championship game. Brent Key is doing a hell of a job with that program, that team, getting them to believe and getting them to fight and flipping that whole program from a triple option team into I don't even know what you call it. I don't even know if they're a pro style team, but whatever their offensive scheme is, he's got those guys believing, he's got them fighting, he's got them competing. Shout out Georgia Tech. I knew they were going to be a really good football team. If you just watch them last year and you watch how they fight, you watch how they compete, you wasn't pushing them around. They're not the Georgia Tech of old where you just push them around. They wasn't laying down on nobody. Then what they did with Georgia last year, 6 OTs. Yo, what's good? What's good, Mr. Cruz? When you see them play last year, you see them fight, you see them compete, you see them go hard in every game. You knew they had something, like I said, at 6 overtime. I think it was 6 overtime with Georgia. And then now they're back 7-0, control their own destiny in the ACC. So, yeah, they made a believer out of me. It's going to be interesting in that ACC. The ACC is crazy. You got at least 8 teams that could potentially play for the ACC title game, and it's going to be crazy to see down the stretch all these teams, they got to play each other. SMU still got to play Miami, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a good run. Same thing for the SEC. It's a bunch of teams in the SEC too. They ain't really clear cut over there. All right, moving right along. USC number 20 and number 13 Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins 34-24. That was a great game. I didn't get to watch it. But it was a great game. Notre Dame USC battle back, getting back on track because USC has been down for so long. It has been kind of one-sided, but it's good to see that rivalry have a little fire back under it. USC quarterback, I don't even know how you say his name. Mavea, 22 out of 42, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 328 yards. K. Miller, the running back for USC, 18 carries, 70 yards. Lane, the receiver, 6 catches, 111 yards in a TD. And then D. Stevens led them in tackles with 10 tackles total, 6 solo. Notre Dame side of the ball, Carr, 16 out of 26, 136 yards, a touchdown and an interception. And then Jeremiah Love, the bell cow, 24 carries, 228 yards and a touchdown. And Faison, 6 catches, 60 yards. And then their safety shooter led them with tackles with 10, total 4 solo. Jeremiah Love, 24 carries, 228 yards is crazy. That dude's a baller. He is an NFL running back. And I feel like they lost to Miami early in the year. And then we kind of like, okay, well, Notre Dame ain't for real yet. They lost one of the good teams that they're going to play. But they since have regrouped, revamped, and got back down to the identity. I think another thing that affected them was Carr being a freshman. He seemed like he settled in. But running their offense through Jeremiah Love is the recipe for them. And they didn't do that enough against Miami. And then they also took a loss to A&M right after they lost to Miami. But they since then have hit a little rhythm, hit a little stride. I don't know if the 2 losses that they took early in the season is going to keep them out of the playoff. Their remaining schedule is Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. So they're not going to really have the strength of schedule to help them get back in the playoffs. And then they're not in a conference, so they don't have a conference championship to help them get in. I'm going to go out on a limb. I know it's 12 teams. It's possible that Notre Dame could miss it. But, that we all know they love Notre Dame. The voters love Notre Dame. The people that make the decisions love Notre Dame. So I can see them getting in. They finished 10-2, playing at a high level toward the end of the year. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make it in. But I don't see them leaving Notre Dame out. I guess it's good to lose early. Moving right along, Oklahoma, number 14, Oklahoma went into South Carolina and won 26-7, coming off that loss to Texas last week. Embarrassing loss for Oklahoma. They regrouped and went into South Carolina and got a win. They're 6-1. Then you have Missouri and Auburn. Missouri pulls out a nail biter with Auburn in OT down in Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn. They pull out the win 16-13. Another big upset. UAB fired their coach, Trent Dilfer. And then they went on to beat undefeated Memphis. Memphis was ranked number 22, came into UAB Saturday, and UAB beat them. And that's been a little trend with firing coaches in the middle of the year this year. UCLA fired their coach. They're on the 2-0 since they fired their coach. UAB fired their coach, and then they got a win, a big win at that. Virginia beat Washington State 22-20. South Florida blew out Florida Atlantic 48-13. Kentucky and Texas. Texas is, like Jordan mentioned earlier, Texas has been a big disappointment, especially for me because I picked Texas not only to win the SEC, but I picked them to win the national championship. I thought they had enough returning players, enough returning talent. I thought Arch Manning was going to play well, and none of that has happened. Although they've shown spurts on defense, their defense is really good. But yeah, they have definitely underachieved. I think losing to Florida was pretty much the nail in the coffin as far as having any faith and belief in them winning anything significant this year. Although they're 5-2, they lost to Ohio State beginning of the year 14-7, and that was understandable. And then you lost to Florida, and then you turn around and you beat Oklahoma. So that Oklahoma game kind of put them back into okay. And then they looked terrible. They looked terrible against Kentucky. They got Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M left. And That's a tough stretch. I don't see them winning anything significant. I don't see them playing for the SEC championship game. They got one game away. They're one game away from being a bowl team. I think they can end up being like 8-4, 7-5. I think that tough stretch coming up for them. I don't see them winning all those games. I don't see them beating Georgia. I don't see them beating Texas A&M either. So 8-4 is suitable for them right now. And then they just got to hit the reset button off season, hit the portal, and try to come back next year. Very surprised that Arch Manning has struggled the way he has. Very surprised that Sark has poorly coached the way he has. And I don't want to make excuses for Arch Manning, but I don't think that offensive scheme fits Arch Manning. I don't think that's working out for him. If I was Arch in Arch camp, I would transfer. I just don't think he's been put in the best position to be successful. I don't think he's a pocket passer, but he's being asked to be a pocket passer. The run game is none of void. The offensive line hasn't been playing good. But they are a young team. Arch is a young quarterback. The receivers are young. So maybe next year will be a better year, and it was just too many expectations put on Arch coming in, too much hype that he didn't ask for. And now we're all disappointed that he hasn't been as good as we thought he was going to be without allowing him to grow, because we got to understand he's never started. The team hasn't been his. He's came in games and mop up duty and doing a little small plays here and there for Quinn Ewers. But this is the first time he's had his own team and been a leader. And he's showing those freshmen young, inexperienced. So, yeah, if I was the Arch Manning, though, I would transfer him. Just my personal opinion. And if Sark don't get it together, he won't be there long. He won't be the coach much longer. He's another coach that's underachieving. Couldn't beat Georgia, just can't beat Georgia. And then now you return one of your best talented teams since you've been there, and you lost to Florida. I think the loss to Florida was the biggest, worst-looking loss. Now, the Ohio State loss, it wasn't that bad, but when you turn around and lose to Florida the way they had been playing and how Harper they had been playing, it's just not a good loss. And then I think he kind of helped himself a little bit in the next week by beating Oklahoma. So maybe if he can win out, he's going to have to beat somebody else up for significance. He's going to have to beat either A&M or Georgia to kind of, put himself back in the good graces of the fan base and people that believe he can win and compete for championships at Texas. Moving right along, Cincinnati obviously blew out Oklahoma State, who also fired their coach, 49-17. Michigan dominated Washington 24-7. UConn dominated Boston College 38-23. Houston beats Arizona 31-28. TCU beat Baylor 42-36. And UCF beat West Virginia 45-13. I'm just moving right along. The good game. Another game. SMU beating Clemson 35-24. And Clemson continues to fall from grace. Really surprising that Dabo Swinney and Clemson has fell off the cliff the way they fell off, especially considering that they found their way in the SEC championship game last year. And, we thought, okay, they turned the season around last year and they were going to come back this year and be even better. And they haven't done so. They're 3-4 overall, 2-3 in the ACC. And it makes you wonder how long before Clemson may or may not pull the plug on the Dabo Swinney experience. I don't think he deserves to be fired. I think what he's done at Clemson and putting them on the map and making them contenders gives him the opportunity to fix the struggles that they're going through right now. But in this day and age, we've seen programs say, "What have you done for me lately?" They don't really care. We know we wasn't shit before you got here and you made us something. We don't care. So, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know if they're going to let him finish this year and maybe give him one more year. But this has been very disappointing year for Clemson coming in. They also came in with preseason hype. They also came in as the ACC favorite, playoff contender, and they have fell from grace. I think you could put them in that category. Jordan would mention earlier, one of the viewers said about biggest buzz this season. I think got to put Clemson up there. And it's not even about them losing. It's how they're losing and how many they're losing. If they maybe add one or two, Yeah, but 3-4 overall, 2-3 in the ACC after coming in with national championship hopes and aspirations. Yeah, they are bust. Anyway, Cade Klubnik went down. Backup quarterback came in, went Vizania, I don't know how you say his name, 29 out of 42, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, no running game whatsoever. TJ Moore, the receiver, had 5 catches, 124, and 2 touchdowns. Linebacker Brown led him in tackle with 10. He had 5 solo, 10 total tackles, 5 solo. On SMU side of the ball, quarterback Jennings, 23 out of 43, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 290 yards in the air. Chris Johnson Jr., the Miami Hurricane transfer, the son of Chris Johnson, the NFL football running back, that's his son. 6 carries, 59 yards in the touchdown. Their receiver Hudson, 7 catches, 131 in a touchdown. And their leading tackler, Kilgore, the linebacker, 11 total tackles, 8 solo. SMU improved to 5-2 overall and 3-0 in the ACC. Clemson remaining game is Duke at home, Florida State at home, at Louisville, versus Foreman in South Carolina. Tough stretch for Clemson to try to get bowl eligible. It's gonna be tough. I don't think they're gonna beat Duke. I don't think they're gonna beat Duke. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Duke, but I don't think they're gonna beat Duke. So that's one loss. You got Florida State. They should beat Florida State. I don't think they're going to beat Louisville at Louisville. They'll beat Foreman. And then that South Carolina game is a toss-up, always a toss-up in that rivalry game. Clemson is on the verge of either being they could possibly be 5-7, they could be 6-6, or they could be 7-5. But that's going to be a wild finish to a team that came in with championship aspirations coming into the year. SMU, on the other hand, they got at Wake Forest, Miami, Boston College, Louisville, and Cal. They're another team, as I say, the ACC is wide open. And SMU does control their own destiny. That Miami game is going to be tell, but they can't overlook Wake Forest going into the Miami game. But they're looking real good. It's looking real good for them to be able to play in the ACC championship game and possibly get back in the playoff again. They got 2 losses already, so they can't lose no more if they want to play in the playoff. And they definitely may can drop one and still make the ACC championship game, but I doubt it. The way that race is tight, so they pretty much got to run the table to keep their goals ahead of them. But it's very possible with that favorable schedule. Move right along. UNLV, everybody was on Dan Mullen's trail, and Florida shouldn't have fired him, and he's a great coach and all this, blah, blah, blah. He was doing good at UNLV, and that's because they hadn't played anybody, but I never said that because, you can't really argue with people who think they know everything anyway. And they finally played a good team, and he got embarrassed. Boise State blew him out 56-31. Game was never close. And they're now 6-1 in the Mountain West. And I hope that kills all the talk of why Florida fired him. They shouldn't fire him. He's a good coach. He's winning at UNLV because the first competition he faced in that conference, he gets blew out. So that's that. UNLV is 2-1 in the conference. Boise State improved to 3-0. San Diego State 3-0, Hawaii 3-1, Fresno State 2-1, and Utah State 2-1. So it's a good tight race over there in the Mountain West standings now. Going down the stretch, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. UNLV has New Mexico left, Colorado State, who also just fired their coach. Utah State, Hawaii, and Nevada left on the schedule. Boise State, after taking that blowout loss to South Florida the first week, has been playing really good football, and they didn't turn that thing around. They got all their goals ahead of them as far as their conference championship goes. I think they're done as far as the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be a Cinderella playoff for Boise State this year. Another upset. Well, I don't even know if it's an upset because Florida was favored, but Florida, even though their coach, Billy Napier, tried to find a way to lose the game, he luckily for Florida, the players and the fans, that they were actually playing against a coach that was actually just as dumb as Billy Napier, and Florida found a way to win the game because Mississippi State was driving down the field, had the ball with 29 seconds left in field goal range, and for some odd reason, they decided to throw the ball, even though they had no timeouts left. They tried to throw the ball. Florida just had, I don't know if you want to call it a great call. I don't know if the defensive tackle just made his own call, but the defensive tackle started the play off rushing, dropped back into coverage, and just so happened to drop back into the passing lane of the quarterback, who thought that he had a clear lane. I guess that stunt call was looks like a good call because he got the pick, but not normally. You don't normally see a defensive tackle dropping the coverage like that. But nonetheless, Michael Bolt drops back into coverage at the perfect time. Blake Shapen tried to throw the ball, didn't never seen him, and Michael Bolt, the D tackle, jumped up in the air, caught the ball like a receiver, and that's how the game ended. 23-21, Florida gets the win on homecoming, and it still felt like a loss because Florida should have blew Mississippi State out. But the inability and incompetence of the former coach, they were able to stay in the game and should have won it. Ladway, 20 out of 34, he threw 2 bad interceptions. Now, those interceptions Ladway threw was not on Billy Napier. They were bad. He continues to play inconsistent, but when he plays good, he shows that he has the tools. But 280 yards, Jaden Ball, 23 carries, 150 yards and a touchdown. Burnell Brown on the third, the freshman, continues to be sensational, 5 catches, 95 yards. And the brightest spot of the game, you got Allen Jr., the DB, hadn't played all year. Due to injuries, Florida had a bunch of people in the secondary not playing. They only had one starter in the secondary. Everybody else was backups that never played, true freshmen. And this kid was a walk-on. He had 15 tackles, 8 solo from the safety spot. Kudos to him. Congratulations to him. And it makes you wonder, why was this kid not already playing in some capacity? And when he came, if you watch the game, he was flying around like he had reckless abandon on his mind, took advantage of all the opportunities that was given to him. I'm not gonna lie, when I first seen 43 out there, I'm saying, who is 43? Why is this guy in my secondary? I'm looking for the freshman, the top freshman that we recruited, Stubbs and Hayward, and I'm saying, who is 43? And he must have heard me. He turned it up a notch, and he was flying around. He was coming downhill in the run game. Anytime a ball was in his area, he was in on the hit, bringing the hit, a helping tackle. So shout out to Allen Jr., Alfonso Allen Jr. He's a senior, 5'11" senior from Miami, Florida. He played, looking back at his little stat thing, he played 3 games in 2022, 10 games in 2023, 1 game in 24, and then the 1 game he played yesterday, he balled out. He balled out. It was amazing to see him play and play at that level. Like I said, it's another one of those things where you talk about this staff and you wonder why the guy wasn't playing before. Blake Shapen for Mississippi State, 24 out of 36, 324 yards and 1 interception. Booth, their running back, 22 carries, 2 touchdowns, 105. And Thompson, their receiver, that guy is fast as get out. 7 receptions, 155 yards. We could not stay in front of him. And their leading tackler was their safety, Laner. He had 8 total, 7 solo. So Florida gets the win on homecoming. Ugly fashion. It felt like a loss. But the biggest win for Florida was today around 1:30 p.m. They fired Billy Napier. Very exciting day to be a Gator. Very great day to be a Gator. I'm more excited about him getting fired today than I was about the homecoming win yesterday or the big win over Texas. I'm just happy he's gone. I'm happy he's been relieved of his duties and that these players will be put in a better position going forward to not only win games at the University of Florida, but be successful in general and the next level by being able to put film out, being used properly, and just being put in a scheme that can showcase their talent and not being held hostage by a stubborn head coach who can't see farther than his own visions and his own what he think is right. Now, I will say this: I love Billy Napier as a person. I love him as a CEO. I actually love him as a coach. I think he did everything right, other than getting the offensive coordinator and letting somebody else call plays. And then not only that, the inability to be able to recognize and understand that he was not the guy to call plays. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm an offensive coordinator. You know, I feel like I can do this. I want to prove to y'all I can do it. But once you do it and you see that you can't do it, and I mean, once you do it and then you can't see that you can't do it, you can't see that what you're doing is not working. What you're doing is holding the team back. What you're doing is making your players look like they don't know how to play football. You should be able to look in the mirror and say, okay, what I wanted to do is not working. I'm not able to do this and run the team and run the football program. Let me get somebody else to do it. He's been asked for 2 years to do that, and he didn't. And that's ultimately his downfall, his stubbornness and his ego and his unwillingness to hire an offensive coordinator cost him his job. And like I said, I wish him the best. Like I said, I love the guy. I hope he lands on his feet somewhere. I think he would be great at a smaller school where his kindergarten playbook would be effective, but it just wasn't working at University of Florida. The stage was too big. And then I don't understand how you go recruit all these elite receivers and then don't use them. We got 3 or 4 receivers that he recruited himself last year as freshmen that was sophomore this year that was supposed to be contribute to the team, and he doesn't even put them in the game at all. And then his rotations are crazy. He rotates the running backs for no reason. He keeps 2 tight ends on the field all the time. And then there are 2 tight ends that are not athletic, can't catch. And then the best tight end of the group, you don't play. Amir Jackson, number 7, he's the best tight end we got. You don't play him. He only started playing because Livingston got hurt. And it's just this decision making, his rotations, his in-game management, his feel for the game, horrible. He don't know how to work. He has poor clock management. It's just a number of things that keep showing up every game, and it's not like you can't. I'm not saying anybody's perfect, but when you keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and not seeing that it's not working. Hey, last game I really messed up. I didn't play such and such. I didn't utilize the timeouts properly. I didn't call certain plays at certain times. I could have did better than that. He's never done it. He hasn't done it in 4 years. This is not just about this year. He hasn't done it, and he has done this. He has been inconsistent and an incompetent coach for 4 years. And people saying Florida can't keep firing coaches. You're right. They shouldn't keep firing coaches. They also have been making the wrong hire. But just because you made the wrong hire doesn't mean you keep the guy. It was the wrong hire from the beginning, and it was time for a change. What should be done eventually should be done immediately. He couldn't cut it. And like I said, if he would have just hired the offensive coordinator and been the CEO of the football team, he would have been great. He recruited well. He did things the right way. His players wasn't getting in trouble. The players love him. He's a great guy. But the only thing that hurt him was offensive play caller. The worst part of the team since he's been there has been the offense. When he hangs his hat on being an offensive guru. So when you hang your hat on being an offensive guru, and the worst part of the team is the offense, and you're solely responsible for that, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what to say. He would have been better off hiring somebody else and saying they're the OC, although he was calling the plays, and then firing them versus him saying, I ain't hiring no offensive coordinator. I'm the guy. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna call the plays, and it's not working. The defense, even though the defense has had their certain situation where they were inconsistent, the defense, you watch them, they play fast, they play hard. I don't like the rotations on defense either, because we play the same guys over and over again, even though they're playing piss poor. Castell, 14, the safety, piss poor. We keep playing him. Anyway, but when you watch the defense, when I use the Texas A&M game for example, Texas A&M went down the field on Florida in 2 plays. The first 2 drives of the game, they made it look like the defense wasn't even out there. The defensive coordinator made an adjustment and slowed the Texas A&M offense down. They once they got to 21 points, we held them to 21 points for the rest of the game until the end. You don't see those kind of adjustments for the offense. You haven't seen those kind of adjustments for the offense in 4 years, where he just keeps doing the same shit over and over again, and he has no feel for the game. He has no understanding of what's going on. The guy last night, you had 3rd and 1. I'm jumping all over the place. You 3rd and 1 with a chance to put the game away. Mississippi State had 1 timeout left. If you get this first down, the game is over. He drops back the pass. He calls the passing play on 3rd and 1 where you got Jaden Ball, one of the best running backs in the country, who had been running all over Mississippi State all game anyway. You just you call a passing play. DJ Ladway gets sacked. You got to punt the ball, and Mississippi State gets the ball and drive down the field and should have won the game, except for their coach is just as dumb as Billy Napier and called a passing play and threw an interception. But those are the kind of decisions that Billy Napier have been making poor decisions after poor decisions for 4 years, and it was just time. Why go get a dual threat quarterback like DJ Ladway and don't run a spread offense? Don't run RPOs. You don't do anything that fits the quarterback that you went and got. You went and got all these fast, athletic receivers, and you don't play none of them. You don't go 4 wide. You don't go 5 wide. Then when asked in your press conference last week why you don't run true 4 wide receivers, you said because your quarterback can't run. Okay, and he's not healthy. What you do in the game Saturday on 3rd and 7? You run a quarterback draw with a guy who you just said in your press conference cannot run. I don't understand it. At the end of the day, I ain't gonna waste no more time talking about his inabilities. He's gone. Thank God. I wish him the best. Florida, go get me Lane Kiffin. Go get us Lane Kiffin. The University of Florida deserves a coach like Lane Kiffin. Florida AD Scott Strickland has been hiring yes men, up and coming, not non-proven coaches, because I believe he was trying to be that genius who finds that next great Nick Saban or that next great whoever, and he's been missing. Except for Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen was the only proven coach as far as a Power 5 on the Power 5 level that we've hired since Urban Meyer. But go get him. Open the checkbook, make him say no, get Lane to Gainesville. He's the guy that can turn that thing around right away. He's the guy that can make this thing be great again right away. Not no 2-3 year plan with the portal, with the talent we already got on campus, with the talent he can bring with him if he want to bring anybody from Ole Miss, is in the recruiting. And he already shown he can recruit on offense. Now, he hasn't been able to land the defensive guys at Ole Miss that he needs, but he's had no problem landing offensive players. Lane is the number 1 target. Lane is the only one that makes sense off the top. And so you go get Lane Kiffin, you make Florida football great again immediately. He's the one guy that could keep the roster together. Although you're going to have some guys that are going to leave. You're going to have some guys that are going to leave. He can keep the recruiting class together, although you're going to have some guys that are going to decommit. But you don't keep a coach and you don't keep losing with a coach because you're worried about who's going to leave. And this is how I feel. I don't care if DJ Ladway said I'm out because Coach Billy Napier is gone. Bye-bye. Because you can't keep a coach just to keep a player. Right, you kept Billy Napier last year because of DJ Ladway, and then he wasted DJ Ladway, mishandling DJ Ladway this offseason with the injuries. It's just all around bad. So I don't care who leaves. You got to go get a new coach. Lane Kiffin could definitely change the narrative and change guys' mindsets. But even if it's not Lane, Marcus Freeman is the guy that I think could come in, keep this roster together, and keep the recruiting class together and recruit good. With the portal, you hire the right coach. You can fill any holes that you may lose because guys may not want to. You may not want Lane Kiffin or whoever takes his job may not want some of the guys that us fans love, and some of the guys on the team that may feel like the new coach may feel like he don't need. So with the portal, though, you can fix that immediately, and then with recruiting, you can fix that immediately. That's why the timing of this is perfect. Halfway through the year, you can get your search on. If you're Florida and you're going after Lane Kiffin, what you would hope for is that you can get a deal done and at the right time, I don't know, contract-wise and stuff like that, when you can announce. But let's say Ole Miss continues to win and Ole Miss is going to go in the playoff. You can get a situation where you announce Lane and Lane elects to continue to coach through the playoffs, but announcing it can let the players on the team know who's coming, let the recruits know who's coming, let guys know who are already on teams that may get in the portal who's coming. So I think getting the deal done, making an announcement as early as possible and early as legally possible to go ahead and let players and teams know, guys, the players on the team and the recruits know who's coming. And that's with whoever the coach is going to be. Because most likely you're going to hire a coach that's on a good team already if you're going after the splash hire. So you're going to have to wait. Florida fans are going to have to be patient. Nobody's leaving their team in the middle of the season. So whoever you get, if you get a good coach, whether it's Marcus Freeman, whether it's Lane Kiffin, you're going to have to wait till at least the end of the season. And then those guys have to decide whether they finish what they started with their current team or if they go ahead and come on over to your team. I think if you get a guy like Marcus Freeman or Lane Kiffin and they're still playing for something significant, I think it's good for them to finish because they're just advertising. There's just more free advertisement for you, especially if you go ahead and announce that they're coming in. Lane did that when he was at Bama. When he said he was taking the job, he remained OC through the playoffs. We've seen coaches do it. So I think the only way Lane does it is if it's a playoff. I could see him not coaching them if they're in a bowl game, but I also can see him finishing what he started, finishing the year out with his guys. The best thing for Florida right now is as you turn the table to Billy Gonzalez, the wide receiver coach, is the interim. He's been at Florida through and through 10 plus years. He was there with Urban Meyer. He left and then he came back. He was there with with Dan Mullen, left and came back. He's there with Billy Napier. So he's a true Gator. He knows what a good offense looks like. He knows how to run a team, in my opinion, from being under some really good coaches at the University of Florida. So I expect Russ Callaway will be taking over the play call. And Russ Callaway was OC at Sanford. I don't know if y'all remember back in those years back when Sanford was putting up a lot of points. Matter of fact, they put up 50 on Florida in the Swamp. He was the offensive coordinator there. And it'll be interesting to see these other coaches, spread their wings. I feel like Napier not only handicapped the player, but he handicapped a lot of these coaches from being able to showcase their skills. Now they're in a tough spot where the coach is fired and they don't really have anything on the table to showcase to another team, another school, so they can get a job. But now they do. They got 5 games to basically audition, just like a lot of the players. A lot of players got 5 games to audition in case they want to hit the portal and audition for the next coach. Whoever takes over can look at the film and see if they want to keep them. So these next 5 games are crucial for Florida. I think it's going to be a new injected energy in Gainesville in that locker room, new injected energy in the fans, even though the fans continue to sell out games and continue to have the Swamp loud, even though they want a Napier fired. Coming down the stretch, you got the Florida Gators, 5 games remaining. No more Billy Napier. It's going to be interesting to see how the offense look. They got 2 weeks to prepare for Georgia because they got an off week this week. Perfect timing of the hiring, and I even posted about this on Facebook that if they were going to make a firing, it would be smart to do it right before the bye. That'll give the interim coach time to implement the scheme, the players to adjust. I think the offense is going to look totally different. I think the offense is going to look even totally better, and I wouldn't be surprised if the trend continues that has been happening so far in college football of coaches getting fired and the team playing better. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida would win some games down the stretch that they shouldn't, with their remaining games being starting with the cocktail party in Jacksonville against Georgia. Then they got at Kentucky. They got at Ole Miss They got Tennessee at home and then Florida State at home. And they need 3 more games to make a bowl. I think making a bowl is very important for the continued development of the young players and this young team. And then it's very important for the new head coach. Because if you got those bowl practices and you get a new coach to come in, that's even more time that coach can spend to evaluate the roster, mesh with the players. So making a bowl game is important not only for the young players to continue to develop, but for the new coach to come in and spend more time with the players and develop and implement their scheme, so forth and so on. Georgia is far-fetched. I wouldn't say they can't win that game, but they should be able to beat Kentucky. That'll give them 4. Ole Miss is going to be tough at Ole Miss. Let's say you drop that one. Then you'll be 4-5, 4-4. Well, we got 2 losses. No, we'll be 4-6. So if we lose to Georgia, beat Kentucky, that'll put you at 5-5. Lose to Ole Miss, that'll put you at 4-5. I'm sorry. So we're 3-4 right now. Georgia puts us at 3-5. Beat Kentucky will put you at 4-5. Lose to Ole Miss will put you at 4-6. And then you got Tennessee and Florida State left to try to get 2 wins to make a bowl game. And then I think they can beat both of those teams. They should beat Florida State, who may or may not have a coach at the time. That could change the dynamics of how their team is going to look. But Tennessee, Florida State, and Kentucky are winnable games to get a bowl game. That's why that USF game early in the season was so important to get that W. But nonetheless, 5 games remaining. 5 games remaining, and you need to win 3 to make a bowl game. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting time to Gator Nation, exciting time. I want to see a lot of these players and see how they react. One thing I got to say about Billy Napier, the players never quit. He never showed any signs of pressure, and he handled it with top-notch class. His team handled it with top-notch class. I know we've seen before in the past when coaches on the hot seat, the team just stopped playing. They stopped playing under Dan Mullen. They stopped playing under Jim McElwain. They stopped playing under Muschamp. But this team never stopped fighting. They never stopped playing hard. He never stopped having them prepared. And you got to give him credit for that. I'll give him credit for the program that he built, the culture that he helped fix. And the next coach is going to be able to come into a way better situation and a way better roster and a way better culture than what Napier took over. And as long as they get the right guy, they'll win instantly. All right, last game I'm going to talk about before I get out of here. Oh, actually, 2 more games. Penn State, I just talked about they fired their coach, James Franklin. And they took another loss Saturday, losing the hour 25-24. UCLA, who fired their coach, Deshaun Foster, a couple of weeks ago, they're 3-0 since that. They beat Maryland 20-17. Colorado State lost to Hawaii 31-19, and then they fired their coach today, Jay Norvell. Pitt beat Syracuse 30-13. Fran Brown and Syracuse started off hot, lost their starting quarterback, and they have been downhill since then. I still think Fran Brown is a really good coach. I'm not going to hold the losses against him, losing your quarterback. I hope that Syracuse has grace with him as well. And then the most shocker of the weekend, Florida State late night game going to California playing Stanford, and they lost 20-13. Florida State now has dropped 4 games in a row after starting the season out 3-0. And just a total downfall. Total downfall for Florida State. They beat Bama, and then they blew out two formidable opponents that they should blow out. And then they went up to top number 5 in the country. Then they lost to Virginia, they lost to Miami, they lost to Pitt, and then now they just lost to Stanford. And it's just been a domino effect of losses. The fans want Mike Norvell fired. I don't think Mike Norvell survives the season, the remainder of the season. Some of the Florida State people are saying the next 24 to 48 hours, Florida State may announce or maybe getting ready to announce that he's going to be let go. But Florida State hasn't won an ACC game in a very long time. And 3-4 is bad, and I can't explain why. I don't know who that team is that beat Alabama, but they're not the same team the last 3 weeks. Even against Miami, they are 3 turnovers away from winning that game. But the effort hasn't been there from the players, and consistent coaching hasn't been there from the coaching staff, putting the guys in the best position to win games. But I think they lack talent, and I think they lack good coaching. It's a combination of both, and it's resulting in a very, very poor losing streak. They got Wake Forest coming up for homecoming, then they're at Clemson. They got Virginia Tech at home. Then they're at NC State and at Florida. And from the looks of that schedule, it's possible by the way they're playing that they may not win another game, honestly. And that's not me being no hater. That's just me talking from sports analyst. Wake Forest is not a pushover. They've been playing really good football. Florida State can win that one. Clemson, I don't think they can win because it's on the road, even though Clemson's playing bad. Virginia Tech, they could possibly win that. Virginia Tech's been kind of up and down this year. I don't think they can win North Carolina State at all. I didn't think they could win North Carolina State before they start this losing streak. And then at Florida, I don't think they should be able to go in there and beat Florida, especially now that Florida's fired their coach. And Florida defense has been playing really, really good football. And Florida State defense hasn't. And that could vote well for Florida. But at the end of the day, anytime you're in a rival game, and you never know what can happen. So I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't pencil that in as a win for Florida, but it's going to be tough for Florida State, and they've got to find a way to win something, just for pride and just for building for the future. If they do fire Mike Norvell, like I said, the same thing with Florida. The players should be auditioning for the lead for the one that's leaving, and then the guys should be auditioning for the portal and or for the next coach. We got a question. Who you want? Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. That's my number one target. I've been wanting Lane Kiffin for years. I love the guy. He's got the personality. He's got the charisma. He's got everything. He's got the character, and then most importantly, he's got the offensive scheme that would feed families at the University of Florida. What's up, Coach? I think and this is for all the big three. I've been saying this for years. I never understood why these athletic directors at University of Florida, Florida State, Miami hire these coaches that run pro-style offenses. Pro-style offenses don't fit the state of Florida. And I think if Lane Kiffin's offensive scheme, he'll get any and every recruit he wants to run that scheme. He will get all the top athletes, the top receivers, quarterbacks, running backs that are in the state of Florida will not have to go to Ohio State, to a Clemson, to a Oregon, to a Oklahoma to be in a fast, fun offense, fast, fun spread offense. They can stay right here in the state. And I believe Lane Kiffin could do it. Lane Kiffin could keep the Jeremiah Smiths, the Carnell Tates, the Brandon Ennis's, those type of guys that leave the state. He can keep him in. He can keep him in state and keep him at the University of Florida. And I don't think he have a problem getting the defensive players he needs. Obviously, defensive players has been his downfall at Ole Miss. And as far as recruiting, I think as long as he hires the right DC, he'll have no problem having a formidable defense to be able to win championship. So Lane Kiffin is my pick. Lane Kiffin, I wouldn't be mad at Marcus Freeman either. But Lane Kiffin is definitely at the top of my list. I would make him tell us no. And if he tell us no, we go to plan B. We got to get Marcus Freeman. Maybe Marcus Freeman is tired of Notre Dame. They got 2 losses this year. Not being in a conference hurts them as far as making the playoffs. He could come to Florida. Now, the only thing that worried me with Marcus Freeman is he has no ties to the South. And him getting down here and having to recruit and build a relationship with these high school recruits and stuff would be interesting to see. But if he hired the right staff that could come in and help him, with the recruiting aspect of it, I think he's a great leader and a great coach. So I think if he took the Florida job and hired the right assistant coaches, offensive coordinators, make sure he brings Jawan Sider with him, that he could pull it off. Some sleeper coaches, Jed Fish at Washington. He's a Florida Gator alumni. Was grad assistant under Steve Spurrier. He's not the splashy name, but he's a guy that has proven that he can do it as a head coach. He has been on the East Coast doing it at Arizona, turned that program around before taking the Washington job when the boy left for Alabama. I know that fans wouldn't be happy about that, but that's like the third tier coach I wouldn't mind having. But yeah, as long as it's not another experimental coach, I don't think Florida can hire another coach that they're experimenting on. Another up and comer won't do us justice. I'm not opposed to Jimbo Fisher if we missed on Lane Kiffin. But yeah, I believe if LSU fires Brian Kelly, I believe that's what Jimbo Fisher will end up at. That's just my personal opinion. I can see Jimbo going. He should have took that job instead of A&M. I'm pretty sure he's probably thinking about that and has been thinking about that. He should have went there instead of A&M. So yeah, with coaching carousel going on, you got UCLA will be in search for a coach. You got Oklahoma State. You got Colorado State fired their coach today. Penn State firing James Franklin last week. Who else? Arkansas fired their coach. Virginia Tech fired their coach. And Stanford. So you got some big jobs out there open. And then, Auburn, I think, is going to open up Hugh Freeze on 4 in the SEC, took another loss Saturday. And then LSU, I think, eventually pulled the plug on Brian Kelly. Even if it ain't this year, I think eventually he's going to be gone. That's why it was so important for Florida to go ahead and get rid of Napier and get into this coaching sweepstakes. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think another job that hasn't really been getting any talk, but I think South Carolina will fire Shane Beamer at some point. So a lot of these jobs, UAB also fired their coach. I think UAB is a perfect fit for Billy Napier. I think he will do great there. I think he probably could do great at Virginia Tech too. Honestly, I think any school that's got smaller expectations in a conference that will allow him to run that kindergarten ass playbook that he run, I think he could be successful. I think he could be successful at Virginia Tech. But 8-4, 9-3 at Virginia Tech is successful. But I think if Billy Napier really wants to get back to what you call Billy Ball, where he would put it off at Louisiana Lafayette, he needs to go back to that level. He needs to go back to that level of play. Now you've got your national recognition. You got your money from Florida. Now go back to one of those small schools, and now you can do like what Dan Mullen did. Dan Mullen went to UNLV. He's sitting there, and he can get players out of the portal. He got a lot of 4- and 5-star players out of the portal that he previously recruited at Florida. So yeah, Billy Napier could do the same thing. You go to a smaller school, you're known now, and you can get some guys out of the portal. You can get some talent in there. You may can hit on 1 or 2 guys on the high school recruiting. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this coaching carousel play out. I wonder who's going to take the Penn State job. I really think Penn State job is going to come down to, I think it's going to be Matt Rule. He's a Penn State alum. He's from there, from Pennsylvania. Arkansas is a toss-up. I'm not sure which way they'll go. They might end up letting Petrino take over just because nobody else probably don't want the job. Oklahoma State is interesting. I'm not sure who's going to want that job. I think they'll end up with somebody that's up and coming, somebody looking for an opportunity to prove themselves. Virginia Tech, I think they end up with Shane Beamer, whether he's fired by South Carolina or they reach out to him and he takes the job before he gets fired. UCLA, head scratcher there. I'm not sure. I don't have any. I think they may go with Nick Neuheisel, the offensive coordinator, the current offensive coordinator for them. Tim Skipper is the interim coach, but you wouldn't know that the way they're promoting Neuhauser like he's the head interim coach. I don't see them giving that job to Tim Skipper, but you never know. Stanford, I have no idea. I have no realistic idea. I don't know what they're gonna do out there. I don't know who would want the job. But and then like I say, Florida, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's my guy. And if Florida State does fire Mike Norvell, who would possibly take that job? I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure they'll go after Lane Kiffin. I'm pretty sure they'll go after James Franklin. I seen a lot of their fans say go after Jimbo. I don't think Dion is an option for them, but I would call him. Also, if I'm Florida, on that note, I would call Dion. If Lane Kiffin says no, I'm calling Dion. I think Dion would do great at any school in the state of Florida. Any school in the state of Florida, he would kill in recruiting. He would kill in the portal. It would be we think that he took a lot of guys and got a lot of guys to go to Colorado. What he would be able to do at the University of Florida would be unprecedented recruiting wise. But like I said, it's Lane first, Marcus Freeman. And then if you can't get neither one of them, I think you got to go Dion. Take a shot at Dion before you take a shot at some of these other smaller names. I know Missouri coach Coach Drink name has been mixed in at Florida. James Franklin name been mixed in. I don't see them getting James Franklin. The simple fact that you don't hire a coach that just got fired. Although I think James Franklin would do good. John Summerall. The name has been Tulane coach has been thrown in there, but I don't think you can go with another up and coming Power 4 coach. So if I say it's got to be a splash. So that's why I say Lane, Marcus Freeman. I'm not a fan of. I'm not gonna say I'm against Drink, but I'm not a fan. I wouldn't go that route. I would go Dion before I go Drink. So my top three is Lane, Freeman, Prime. Make Prime tell me no. If Freeman says no, Lane says no, I'm making Prime tell me no. And I know people want to say he's not a great coach. He's struggling in Colorado. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, all that is possibly all that is true. He's not having great success at Colorado, but the recruiting classes and the portal guys he could get at the University of Florida would be easy. It would be easy money. And then and when you one thing I learned from watching Kirby Smart. If you look at Kirby Smart at Georgia, when he was getting all the best players and he just was better than you, it makes you look like you're a really good coach. So give me the coach who can put a bunch of 5 stars out there on the field and let them out coach his inability. But I prefer Lane. And Lane is he's the cream of the crop. I'm glad to see that Florida reporting that boosters want him. Boosters are ready to open up a blank check and let Lane tell them the price. So that's promising. With our luck, we probably end up with somebody else other than Lane. But I feel like it's Lane. I want it to be Lane. Lane knows he's wanted in Gator Nation. He's on Twitter. He sees the Gator fans tweeting at him. And so I hope that Florida can pull that off. I think that'll be a great instant fix and great turnaround for us who hasn't had good football in the University of Florida in a long time. Excuse me. All right, before I wrap it up, I'm gonna go week 9 games. Real quick, you got Thursday night, you got Kennesaw State at FIU. I'm picking FIU, obviously. I'm always gonna pick Willie Simmons. And then other notable games as we move down the list. Important ACC game Friday night, Cal at Virginia Tech. UCLA Saturday, you got UCLA at Indiana. I'm gonna pick Indiana, although UCLA is on a little high roller coaster ride. I think it ends at Indiana. Indiana's number 2, by the way. I think that ends at Indiana Saturday. Syracuse at Georgia Tech. I got Georgia Tech. Interesting game. Interesting game here is going to be Ole Miss Number 8, Ole Miss at number 13, Oklahoma. That's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss though in the lane train, but I won't be surprised if Oklahoma wins it. As a fan that Florida Gator fan that won't Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss losing this game is with votes in our favor because if Lane Kiffin is not in the playoff, if he does take the job and he's not in the playoff, we can get him on staff faster. So I'm pulling for Oklahoma to beat them. Actually, I'm pulling for Ole Miss to lose the rest of their games. If we're being honest, they got who they got left? They've got South Carolina. They got Oklahoma, South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State left. So I just need them to lose enough games and not be in the playoff. And then Lane Kiffin can kind of see I can't win championships here, and he takes the Florida job. Then Virginia at North Carolina, Virginia, South Florida at Memphis. I'm going to go Memphis just because they lost this week. I don't see them losing 2 weeks in a row, although South Florida should be able to beat them. I'm going to go Memphis. You got SMU at Wake Forest. I'm going SMU. Kansas State at Kansas. That's going to be a good, tough game. I'm going to go Kansas since they're at home. Auburn at Arkansas. I'm going to go Arkansas since they're at home, and that may be the end for Hugh Freeze. Alabama at South Carolina. That's Alabama, no brainer. Missouri at Vanderbilt. This is going to be a good game. Oh shit! This is a hard one to pick. Vandy's been playing pretty good football, so has Missouri. Vandy's at home. I'm gonna pick Missouri to get the upset. I'm gonna pick Missouri to upset Vandy. I don't know why, but I just picked them anyway. BYU at Iowa State. That's gonna be a good game too. I'm gonna take Iowa State because they're at home. Illinois is at Washington. I'm going Washington. Minnesota at Iowa. I'm gonna go Iowa. North Carolina State at Pittsburgh. That's gonna be a really good game. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh. You got Oklahoma State at Texas Tech, going Texas Tech, coming off that loss. I don't think they're gonna lose 2 in a row. Baylor at Cincinnati. I'm gonna go Cincinnati. Cincinnati been playing some really good football as of late. You got Texas at Mississippi State. Mississippi State coming off that brutal loss of Florida. Texas coming off a nail biter against Kentucky. I'm gonna go Mississippi State and the Cowbells to beat Texas. TCU at West Virginia. TCU, Oregon hosting Wisconsin. I'm got Oregon. Miami hosting Stanford. I'm going Miami. This is a very intriguing, interesting game. You got number 3 Texas A&M at LSU. And for some odd reason, I know I just got through telling y'all that LSU hasn't been living up to the bill and Brian Kelly's been underachieving. For some reason, I feel like LSU going to win that game. I don't know why. And mostly probably because I don't think Texas A&M, they didn't really impress me in the Florida game, and we're not good. It's in Death Valley at night. I'm going to go LSU with the upset. Boston College at Louisville. I got Louisville. Michigan at Michigan State, going Michigan. Tennessee at Kentucky. I'm going Tennessee. And then Houston at Arizona State. Houston's been playing really good football. Arizona State coming off a really, really big win last weekend. Yesterday that nobody thought they were going to win. I'm going to go Arizona State. And then you got Colorado at Utah. And I'm going to go Utah. That's it. Great day to be a Florida Gator. We no longer have Billy Napier as our coach. Lane Train is coming to Gainesville, we hope. Until next week, we out.
First off, fuck Bama in the road tide. Fuck Tuscaloosa in every city that's close by. Bitch ass hillbilly redneck fans. Auburn almost Caught y'all slacking like dress pants. Michigan trash, they ain't got a damn chance. Only Wolverine I respect is X-Man. Keen ass coach got exposed, still in plays. Damn right I'm bitter, y'all sweeter than lemon.